Lost during the fall of Adam and Eve, who were originally beings of light, prophets said, we would regain our perfect rainbow light body at the end time. Well, here's a news flash. The digerati, the transhumanist, that technology, those companies, all of the giants are on the verge of duplicating this light body in the form of a new layer of skin, eye skin, e-skin, that gives us superpowers. All of human history has been rushing to this moment when we reacquire our original powers. We are living in the turning point of a new golden age. William Henry is a Nashville-based author. He's an investigative mythologist. He's a futurist and a human rights activist who specializes in human transformation. The spiritual voice of the hit History Channel program Ancient Aliens, William works constantly to uncover and reveal the secrets of the human light body, its connection to the angels and aliens of the past, and to comprehend our place in the divine universe. Along with his wife, Claire, he leads spiritual journeys to Egypt, to France, and Italy, including their upcoming pilgrimage to Turkey. I'm going to see you here in a few short weeks. And you promised me the Anunnaki necklace. So don't forget.
Yes.
Okay. All right. See, you already forgot, William. See, that's I.
No.
Okay.
No. As a matter of fact, Claire and I we were in Egypt in October, and we resupplied. We're talking about this necklace that I wear. People that watch Ancient Aliens write me all the time saying, hey, I want one of those winged disc necklaces like you wear. And it's actually a winged scarab, the Egyptian symbol for rebirth. And so people started asking us for them. So we found some craftsmen in Cairo who were able to duplicate them. They look ancient. I walk into the temples wearing this necklace, and the guides look at me, or the guards look at me like, hey, where'd you get that?
Right. Well, today I was, I was looking at some pictures. I was like, oh, that's right. How do you think the consciousness is holding up out there after some of the negative things, a lot of negative things that went down in 2015? What do you think about 2016?
Well, I think some people were ready for a halftime break to kind of regroup and say, okay, where'd our leadership go? Who's running this show? Are we letting the inmates run the asylum here, or when are we going to step up here and recognize that we've got a clash of civilizations that we're all confronted with here? You've got about 1 billion people out there in the Muslim world that are anticipating the arrival of their Messiah, along with Jesus, who's going to recover the Ark of the Covenant and bring in this new caliphate. And then you've got everybody over here in the West who's buying their iPhone, their iPad, all their new latest gadgets. They're sticking stuff in their bodies, and they're not realizing that they're all part of the fulfillment of this end-time prophecy, and we're all participating in it.
When we talk about Skinularity, and of course the singularity also comes into play, and the comparisons are inevitable. So before we get to the Skinularity, what do you think is going to hit first? Because we're converging on this date.
Yeah, and in my opinion, the date is 2020. My insiders, when I'm out talking about the Skinularity, the meshing, Skinularity is a term I've coined for the meshing of human flesh with advanced technology that makes us, quote unquote, smart humans, which actually makes us totally controlled humans. I keep hearing 2020 from the technocrati, the digerati that come to my presentations. It's all starting to make sense for them because they're all compartmentalized. They're working on projects. They don't know what the big picture is. And they come and hear my talk, and they're like, that's why there's such an emphasis on 2020. And what is going to happen here is that as you said, there's going to be this convergence of the artificially intelligent net. That what we think of as the internet today is going to go away, and it's going to be replaced by this super advanced intelligence that's going to be able to read our mind. And at the same time, we're going to have this technology implanted in our bodies that will make us smart humans. And forever gone is the idea of human free will. The idea of our individuality gets thrown under the bus. It's a whole nother world.
And if there's any question about that kind of thought, we're there now with smartphones and smart TVs and smart refrigerators. we're slowly, becoming acclimated to it.
The forerunner of this technology is literally in our hands, and we are addicted to it.
That's right.
Steve Jobs, when he invented the iPhone, it was supposed to be this liberating technology, make you a better individual, think different, blah, blah, blah. Wrong. We're all addicted to it now. It's so antisocial. I went to a concert the other night, and everybody's on their cell phone. They're checking their email in the middle of the show. It's like, wait a minute, is this what we hadn't planned here? And that's not right. But at the same time, there's a movement by people like Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, and others. They want to stick a cell phone in every single human's hand by 2020. And these are people that don't even have a toilet or clean water. And
right.
Somehow the digerati think sticking a cell phone in their hand is going to make them a better human being. It's going to make them a smarter human being in their point of view, which means they're going to be wired up to this new net, this artificially intelligent super brain that's going to think for us. And they think that's going to be the solution to human problems, but I'm not so sure.
Some of these projects right now with CubeSats and small geosynchronous satellites to spread internet absolutely everywhere around the world, is this leading up to the Skinularity?
Yes, it is, because the key component of the Skinularity, again, the meshing of human flesh with technology, is ultimately the implantation of a chip into our brain, or lots of little nanobots that will be running around our cerebral cortex that will link us to a synthetic neocortex that Google is presently building, this artificially intelligent superbrain. Their trade-off is, and this is Ray Kurzweil speaking, who wrote the book The Singularity is Near, about the machine intelligence surpassing human intelligence. They believe that you will want to trade your measly, puny single brain for interconnection to 9 billion other brains that's going to make you a super being. This is kind of like the Satan taking Jesus up to the top of the tower and offering him the entire kingdom. And this is what they believe you want. You want it because you're buying this stuff. You're buying all their computers. You're buying all of their latest technological offerings. And we as consumers are getting ready to be transformed into robo-sapiens, nanobots ourselves, smart humans. This is the plan.
Kurzweil had said, I think it was maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and I think you and I even talked about this, but he is now even suggesting a date as soon as 2018. How frightening is this?
Yeah, they used to be talking 2035.
Right.
I started tracking this around 2002 when the U.S. government actively got involved in promoting the ideal of a hive mind and this convergence of technology on the body. And then they were talking 2035. Now it's 2020. It's 2018. What that means is it's now. We are in it now. We are in the net. We are beginning to experience the Skinularity. We're feeling our skin crawl sometimes because of the Internet. And we don't realize it's because of the Internet and Wi-Fi, but that's what it is.
I want to set the stage for the audience because we are in a crazy, crazy moment in our history, one that we might not be able to, William, back off of. Is there a safety switch out there? How do we stop this? Do you just unplug a plug out of the wall? I mean, is there a safety net?
Well, there is. You individuals unplug from the technology, which is something that many of us aren't willing to do yet. There's also perhaps a cosmic safety plug too. A coronal mass ejection from the sun could wipe out the power grid that takes us back to 1865 overnight. There could be a cosmic kill switch that we're not aware of yet that is coming. What I track in my work, which we'll get into, I'm sure, is that this is what we're seeing today in Silicon Valley and elsewhere is actually the fulfillment of a plan for the evolution of humanity that's been going on at least 5,000 years, possibly 10,000 years. Since the beginning of this new cycle that we've been living in after the cataclysm of Atlantis, the devastation of the former civilization, we've been rebuilding to this point. And actually, Graham Hancock, who of course writes a lot about that forgotten civilization, believes that we're going to be wiped out by a comet in less than 20 years anyway, so we don't have to worry about any of this stuff to begin with.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do shame on Graham. Yeah, I know.
No, I'm not shaming on Graham.
Well, no, in that last week, the reports started to come out about the cycle of comet hits. And we're due in the next,
Exactly.
and it is just inevitable. It's going to happen. It happens all the time. In 4.5 billion years, we've been pummeled. Okay. We've just been lucky for the last 10,000 years, and that's really it. It's inevitable. It's going to happen.
It could be the cosmic kill switch that I'm talking about here. It's this recurring cataclysm, and we reach this point time to time. We've reached it again.
And what we're talking about with Ray Kurzweil is this, and William presents this brilliantly, which is there is going to be a moment in time very soon where the machines and the computer systems out there pass us. And then from that moment forward, we quite possibly aren't needed. The machines will be able to build themselves, think for themselves, manufacture, and do their own thing. Humanity is just a problem. And so what do we do about that? Do we prevent the singularity, or do we allow it to happen? And when it does, do we know what the ramifications are? It's inevitable that it's going to happen, and very soon.
It is going to happen very soon, and this is the dialogue that should be the number one conversation on the planet right now, because we're all involved, we're all responsible, and if not for ourselves, then certainly for our children or our children's children, because what is at stake here is the entire future of humanity.
That's exactly right, and I know that we're there, and I can feel it, but sometimes I think that maybe Moore's law, there's going to be the logistical side that's going to slow us down. We're not going to be able to advance as fast as we need to, computer chip wise, to support the infrastructure that is needed for this mass intelligence. That's my hope. That's what I'm hoping for, that maybe everybody's got it wrong just a little bit, and then we can stop and think about it, discuss, get some dialogue going to understand where we're at. Autonomous weapons and supercomputers are a frightening future for us all, and it needs to be discussed.
Absolutely. And what I think is difficult for a lot of people is to imagine just how advanced this technology is. They think of Google as a search engine.
That's right.
Google is actually in the immortality business.
That's right.
They are in the supercomputer business, and they're building quantum computers that are millions of times more powerful than present-day computers, that can do in the time it takes to make a cup of coffee what it would take present-day computers millions of years to accomplish. So we're talking about radical technology beyond the comprehension or maybe even the imagination of the average person. And this is where it gets kind of difficult. And then, of course, that turns us into a David versus Goliath kind of scenario where we're looking at these companies that we admire, Apple, Google, Microsoft, and so forth, and say, well, who are these giants? And where's this technology really coming from? Is there a next level that we're not aware of? And part of that is certainly this technology is being driven by DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. So, there's a lot of secret stuff going on that we're all funding with our taxpayer dollars, and we're not aware of the advanced nature of this technology. But as I allude to in the Skinularity is Near, and other people are talking about, of course, is there's the possibility, very good possibility, that we're dealing with some kind of extraterrestrial intelligence or technology here.
With DARPA and Sandia, their focus being consciousness and AI-driven technologies, that's exactly where they are at right now. If they came to you and said, we could download, Mr. Henry, your consciousness right now and make you immortal, do you let it happen? Well,
I'm already doing that. It's called Facebook. Because their definition of William Henry is the composite of every keystroke, every phone call they've recorded, every internet search I've done, everything I post on Facebook is by definition my soul. That is William Henry to them, but that is not William Henry. Those are aspects of me. Those are cookies of me. Those are pieces of me that I've left behind, Reese's Pieces, trailings that I left behind. And that's kind of the flip. They see us as just as simply a composite of our actions. We're just machines running around already, so we're going to enhance that machine, and we can just make a digital copy of you, and it's just as good as your flesh and blood original. But it's not. There's something that they're not getting, and that is the spirit, the soul that's in each and every one of us. But they do believe, and I don't want to come off as slamming Google, Ray Kurzweil, Steve Jobs, and all these folks, but what they believe is that they can infuse machines with spirit, even the Holy Spirit, the cosmic life force. They believe that is what they are doing, and that's what makes them special. And this is Steve Jobs' own words, that was his mission with Apple, was to infuse technology, infuse products with this spirit. And they don't really recognize that is a God-given thing. And so that's why they get come under such criticism for actually playing God, because that is in fact what they are doing by believing that they can take spirit and infuse it into a machine.
Are you on Facebook?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
And are you cool with it? I mean, because you have to embrace the technology at some point, and it is a social platform on another, and you have to embrace it. But are you comfortable with it? I'm a social media guy, and I utilize it for things that I need it for. But I'm also not entirely comfortable with my entire personal life being out there.
Well, what flipped my switch on my thinking just a little bit, and I've run real hot and cold on all of this for the past 20 years as I've been evaluating, had lots of peaks and valleys, exploring this and considering it deeply, talking with some of the thought leaders and the technocrati and the digerati and so forth. But with Facebook, think about this. What you're doing today, you're creating what they call a digital ghost. Facebook is developing supercomputers that within 10 years will be able to animate every post that you have on Facebook. Every single photo will be animated and recreated in a new simulated reality that they're creating.
And, William, I want to back up to the Adam and Eve part of your research into this. What was it that you saw first, and what tipped your brain in this direction?
Well, there's that story, some say history, from the book of Genesis, after Adam and Eve are evicted from the Garden of Eden. Eve has taken the wisdom of the serpent, mythological figure symbolizing wisdom, and the Old Testament God Yahweh decides to punish Adam and Eve. He does two things. One, he constructs a gate at the east of Eden, places a flashing, flaming sword in the middle of that gate, and forbids humanity to return to our original paradisical home, the source place, which could be in the cosmos, by the way. And then Yahweh does something a lot of people forget about. He makes for humanity coats of skin. And this is widely interpreted by traditional interpreters as being animal skins, deer skin, bear skin, whatever.
Right.
But in the esoteric Jewish tradition, the more mystical tradition, they believe that the coats of skin were in fact human skin. Because in this line of thinking, in humanity's original state, we were not in flesh and blood bodies. We were in what are described as light bodies. We wore garments of light. We were radiant, luminous, glowing humanoid figures with rainbow-like emanations coming from these bodies, what the Tibetans referred to as the rainbow body. So from this perspective, all of human history, Judeo-Christian civilization, the last 5,000 years of history, has been dedicated to a return to our original state of perfection in the Garden of Eden, in that paradisical realm, which requires dispensing with our skin or transforming our skin back into our light body form and re-entering the gate, perhaps the stargate to Eden. And what I track in the Skinularity is Near is the progression of this thinking and how it's influenced technology development, in particular with this idea that scientists and technologists, at least for the past 400 or 500 years, have believed that technology is a gift from God that was meant to free up human brain power, to give us more resources to be able to return to our perfected light body status.
I had said at the beginning of the show that I had read a couple of books in the 80s, early 80s, that pointed to and predicted exactly what we're talking about right now here in 2016. And 30 years ago, it seemed impossible. But here we are today, reports of different, interactive tattoos that can do things and things under the skin. And they're pushing forward with this technology right now at a clip that it's unbelievable, William. And we are truly here. It's around us. What's the evidence when you want to point to this and somebody says, show me proof of this? What would you show them?
Well, the key symbol to track, and this is what's different about my analysis and work in this area, is that I focus on the symbol of the garment of light. It was believed to be a transmittable garment. Everybody in the Bible, from Moses to Elijah to Jesus, Mary Magdalene, acquired this cloak or garment of light that symbolizes our ascension, our resurrection, our return to our perfected light body status. So I start with this idea that we're looking for some kind of a cloak or a garment, which may not be an actual garment, but rather could be a transmittable teaching of some kind, where these initiates teach you how to activate these latent capabilities within our bodies. So what I started noticing in 2002 is that there was a major government conference sponsored by DARPA that took place in Hawaii, where they brought the major technology companies together and said, here's what we are going to direct to have happen between 2002 and 2035. 4 key technologies: bits or computer science, atoms or nanotechnology, neuroscience, and genetic science and technologies will all converge into one seamless technology, and it will all be enfolded into human skin. We will be creating a new layer of human skin that will be like a garment. And in fact, the super soldier program that was being developed at MIT at the time was specifically devoted to developing a new coat of skin or armor for the U.S. military. So I look at that and say, bam, bang.
Right.
This is exactly what these ancient traditions are talking about with the development of a power cloak, a super cloak that gives us superpowers. They're trying to duplicate exactly what the prophets of the past have been speaking about. So the most direct and specific latest example of this technology is being actually developed by Google at this moment, which they call the Nano nutrient garment. This is literally a new skin, an invisible skin that they're developing composed of nanotechnology, microscopic technology so small you could stick 10,000 of these little nanobots on the tip of a pencil. So it's virtually invisible. And these little nanobots will enter every orifice of your body, entering into your bloodstream, entering into all aspects of your body, performing rejuvenative, repair, or ultimately super-enhancing functions. And when I look at Google and Ray Kurzweil's announcement that they're building this nanonutrient garment, I'm saying, that's it. That is exactly the same thing as the power cloak or garment that made the gods in all these ancient myths and stories. We are duplicating exactly what the prophets and the gods were doing for the past 5,000 years.
Would we have a choice, a choice to go down that road or not, to run clean and not have this technology either on us or in us or through us?
Well, here's the thing. The trajectory of this is that at present it is by choice. But the concern is by human rights advocates and others is that the trajectory of this is that it's going to be mandatory. In fact, I've been told by lawyers who were involved in writing the teeth in Obamacare that's the pill in the hamburger of Obamacare, which mandates that all of your medical records must be digitized. And ultimately, they intend for those digital records to be implanted by law in your body.
What would I see the negative side of it, and certainly when we're talking about these nanobots and some of them that you wouldn't even be able to see, and you could breathe them. You don't have to necessarily inject them or eat them or wear them. You would ingest them, or it would invade your body without your control or consent.
Exactly, and this is the concern, that they may already, A, be doing this, and two, most people are simply not aware that this is what is happening, that we are creating a new environment for humanity that humans were never designed to live in. Machines may be designed to live in this new era. They call it the Anthropocene era. Humans have already transformed the planet. This started, the marker date is 1950 on this, when we started transforming our planet through the use of concrete, through our chemical soup that we're creating and so forth. We have created a new environment that humans have never been meant to live in before, and now it's going to include a new layer of these nanobots that are going to be in our atmosphere, flying around, and will be completely unaware of their influence on us.
Yeah, it wouldn't be an army of 20-story robots coming at you with guns ablazing. It would be done at a microscopic level, and it would look like a vapor, a cloud.
Exactly. They have what's called smart dust in development that will be sprinkled into your neocortex, little tiny nanobots that will be running around your neocortex that will sync you up to this synthetic neocortex that they're developing, this quantum supercomputer that will enhance your intelligence and also link you with all the other 7.5, 8 billion brains on the planet that are also wired to this neocortex.
Well, that's the downside. What's the upside?
The upside is super intelligence. You could stay in a meditative state 24/7. I mean, they've got new neurohacking products that were just announced at the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas just 1 week ago, where we can directly access our central nervous system, tickle the nerve, and release dopamine. This is exactly what the yogis and people who meditate are able to do. So imagine just one benefit: if you're in this deeply relaxed state 24/7, you're releasing dopamine at will, you are living in this yogic state. The problem is that there will be controls that will be put on that as well. You're talking about having some company in Mountain View, California, have direct control over your consciousness. Your free will goes out the window. The whole definition of what it means to be human and the concept of human dignity simply disappears, because from this perspective, you are essentially just another thing. Another smart thing on the Internet of Things. You're of equal value and stature as a toaster or a microwave oven that's also a smart thing.
What's more frightening in this concept? Is it the NSA and their surveillance, or is it Google and Facebook and theirs?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're talking about just runaway technology that could be doomsday technology, actually, that ultimately relinquishes control to a private corporation who then has every aspect of your identity under command, that can predict every move you're going to make, and then can actually edit your thoughts. That's one of the incredible things about this, is that they have virtually unlimited freedom to do anything they want with your health and safety. Once these implants are within you, you're theirs. You're owned.
One of the predictions that I see, this is where the door is going to open for all of us, and it's going to be right in front of us, and we'll be able to say, you'll stand up, William, and go, see, I told you, here we are. Which is this: there's going to be A skin-worn implanted cell phone. Guaranteed.
Yes.
Guaranteed. That will be the next step. And wouldn't everybody just want that? We went through our phases with cell phones. You remember the little tiny ones, a little flip and this and that, and the tinier the better. Now the bigger the better. We've gone through the cycles and we're acclimated to cell phone technology. Now, where's it going to go next? I'm telling you, it will be something implanted. It'll be
absolutely
on your jawline, hidden somewhere, tucked away.
In your tooth.
Exactly. Yes.
No, really. That's one of the plans is in your tooth. I mean, they've already got it figured out. I mean, Microsoft, of course, owns the patent on the human body as an electrical device because they're going to have to find some way to power this technology when it's in your body. But literally, I mean, Samsung put out kind of a joke thing a few years ago of a hand literally putting the what they call the wearable smart glove, which has the display of the phone literally embedded in the palm of the hand. But it's really no joke because this is exactly where they would like it to go. And this is the transformation we're talking about. And there will be an intermediate step, and we're in that right now. And that's the wearable phase, where you're going to be wearing some of these gadgets, your iWatch, some of your biosensing technology. You're going to be wearing it on your arm, on your wrist, on your maybe around your neck and elsewhere. But ultimately, what they know is that that's going to be just kind of too obtrusive, and you're really going to want the next step. You're just going to want it to break the skin barrier and go within. That's the entire the game that they're playing here. Is that we ultimately will want this because it's going to make us more beautiful. It's going to give us a competitive advantage in the workplace because, after all, if you're on Wall Street, you need the next neuro drug like Limitless to keep you going. And if you're not taking it, certainly your competitor is. You're going to want it because it's going to increase your intelligence. There's going to be all kinds of benefits to it. But what's not really discussed at all is the total forfeiture of your free will and ultimately your dignity as a Homo sapien. Robo sapien will gladly step into this world because they won't know any different.
Right.
But Homo sapien will look at this and say, "Wait a minute, this is a place we don't want to go."
Well, we still can, cut the umbilical. We can take our cell phone, set it down, and walk away from it. Once it's embedded in your teeth or in your jaw, that's it. The tracking is 24/7, constant, and global. And I'll tell you, William, you remember when the little Bluetooth headsets were all the rage? Remember that 5-10 years ago? Remember that? Everybody had and you looked across and you said, hey, there's somebody that's there, right? Fashion forward's got the Bluetooth headset. It'll be the same thing with a wearable embedded cell phone. You're going to look at somebody having a conversation apparently by themselves, and you go, that's somebody that's arrived. I want to be just like them. And then the chase is on, right?
Yeah.
And that's how it's going to spread.
And you're seeing it in Hollywood, retina implants. You're starting to see the bad guys wearing the retina implants. Mission Impossible featured this kind of technology. So it's already here. It's in our imagination. It's being brought forward. And what we're going to see here is a whole generation of they call them biohackers and grinders. These are DIY enthusiasts who are driven by their passion for this technology, and they have a willingness to put their bodies on the test bench. And they're starting already to take tracking chips, LEDs, magnets, motion sensors, anything that they can put or sew into their bodies. They are already beginning to do this. And as I said, the marketing people in Silicon Valley, they have aimed for every one of the 10 inputs or ports of the body. And what they essentially view your body as is a computer that needs upgrading. It needs improving. God's creation is imperfect, and they are going to perfect it. And my thing is, what I'm trying to raise awareness of is to say, wait a minute. There's a spiritual component to this that is not even being discussed here. That what we're trying to do is mimic with our technology our natural spiritual capabilities. We're already telepathic. We have latent abilities within us, hardwired into us, that we can bring online spiritually if we choose to do that. And what I recommend for people to do is to look at this technology, and there's unquestioned benefits to it. I mean, I'm not going to stand here and tell someone who's just come back from Afghanistan, who's had his legs blown off, that no, it's not okay for him to walk again. That no, he's not allowed to have appendages put on his body that are just printed from some 3D printer, where he's got a new femur that can give him a new life. I'm not going to tell somebody that they can't do that. What I am going to tell them is that they need to be at the same time developing their capabilities of mind over matter so that they can control this technology once it's put inside their bodies.
This is where things get a little bit serious, especially for me and our listeners, is the possible ET connection. And with your research, the question has always been there with angels from the heavens and the gods from the heaven and the stars and the intelligence and the knowledge. That's where it came from. And all of this is connected, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, what we are the fulfillment of a plan for the evolution of humanity, call it alien intelligent design if you like, that began at least 5,000 years ago, probably longer ago than that. And when you look into the Sumerian text, the story of the Anunnaki augmenting the human body to make us a slave race, or perhaps augmenting the human body to make it a more conducive vehicle for the ascension of the soul, as I believe. When you look to the ancient Egyptians, the story of Ptah, the god who the ancient Egyptians said fashioned the human body. We are talking about entities coming from the stars that are directly influencing the human body, and ultimately with the plan to being able to allow us to use tools to activate our neocortex, which was the hardware was there for a couple 100,000 years, but it had to be switched on. And the benefit of switching on the neocortex is now we can learn quickly. We can watch and learn, which means we can easily adapt new behaviors, new abilities, just simply by monkey see, monkey do, and that teaching can be passed along through generations. We see this plan for the implantation of technology in human affairs. The gods always had helmets of salvation. They had necklaces of immortality. They had resurrection sticks. They had power robes and power garments. This is what made them the mighty ones, the giants of old, as they were called. And humans looked to these beings and said, hey, I want one of those power cloaks. I want one of those helmets of salvation. I want that resurrection stick, that power stick. And so humans started to mimic the gods and even to seek to become gods ourselves. And this is what we're talking about today.
Did the Watchers share some of this technology too?
The Watchers, according to the Essenes, brought the secrets of heaven with them.
Right.
And they taught the art of technology. So this is, you can point to the Watcher angels as being among those who were the ones who were originally bringing some of this technology to Earth. And in fact, at the time of Jesus, there was a lot of discussion about these extraterrestrial powers and their influencing of the human story. Paul, the Apostle Paul, warned against these powers, and he said that the only way for us to win this cosmic battle, he said the struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against powers of this dark world and spiritual forces in the heavenly realms. And he urged us, Paul urged us to augment or supplement the human body with tools, or what I call spiritual apps, for battle against this otherworldly force. He said we've got to put on our helmet of salvation. We've got to put on our breastplate of righteousness, meaning open up our heart chakra. We've got to wear the belt of truth. We've got to stand in the sandals of peace, and we have to hold the shield of faith. Paul is talking about exactly what Silicon Valley is talking about today. It's like, yeah, you need tools. But instead of putting on a helmet of salvation or a helmet of the wisdom, we're going to implant it into your neocortex. Instead of you wearing a breastplate on the outside of your body made of 12 jewels, we're going to develop nanobots that are going to activate the power of the heart chakra and the heart's magnetic field. The belt of truth, yeah, we're going to make sure you speak the truth, our truth. And if you waver from that truth, you're going to get a belt of truth, huh? Get it? So what we're talking about here is a human ideal that has been in our imagination for thousands of years that is now finding a manifestation via technology. And Silicon Valley is on its way to creating a new skin or a new suit of armor for humanity that exactly imitates the very armor of God that Paul spoke about is going to help us win this spiritual or cosmic battle.
Do we embrace this? Do we embrace this idea, or is this something that we need to, be wary about and possibly confront?
I believe that what is missing in this conversation, the way I look at it, these technologies, bits, atoms, neurons, and genes, again,
right.
Computer technology, nanotechnology, neuroscience, genetic science, it's all converging on the human body. Those are simply retooled or technological versions of what we used to call earth, air, fire, and water, the elements of which our body is composed. But what is missing in this conversation, but which the Digerati are well aware of, is the fifth element, which is spirit, soul. As I mentioned earlier, Ray Kurzweil, Steve Jobs, they believed it was their mission and their raison d'etre to infuse technology with spirit. And what I'm saying is that no, the spiritual side of this would be that we must control this technology by spiritual means, which means we need to up-level our abilities of mind over matter and love over hate. This is the core of it right here. And if we are beings of light and love, and we increase what I refer to as our ascension intelligence rather than our artificial intelligence,
right,
we will ascend to the level of the angels and realize we don't need this technology at all.
Right.
We already have this latent intelligence within us. We already have the telepathic abilities. We already can do a lot of the things that we're trying to mimic with technology.
Isn't it funny that Jobs got really, really close to succeeding in that? In that people that are Apple users love their Apple products. They are at one. They're there. They're connected. The Windows users don't have that bond. They didn't succeed.
No, because Steve Jobs intentionally set out to infuse his technology with a spirit.
Right.
And that spirit is in their products. It's in the design of the product. I believe he succeeded.
Yes.
But I'm a big fan of Steve Jobs. Love him or hate him. If you believe he was a nice guy or a total creep, as many people do, he still was able to do wondrous things. But the problem is not really the problem, but what people say is that, well, wait a minute, isn't this the Garden of Eden all over again? Isn't Apple just simply the return of the symbol of our ultimate fall?
That's right.
And this is the argument against the transhumanism that Christianity believes that transhumanism and the implantation of technology is a new fall for humanity. But the transhumanists would argue that what they're trying to do is correct the fall. So we're caught in the crossfire here of two competing worldviews. The Judeo-Christian worldview, which has basically run the world for the past couple thousand years, is now smashing into the new digerati or technocratic reality that says, okay, we don't need religion anymore. We don't need spirituality anymore. We've got this magic technology, and we're going to link everybody together here and create this new golden age. And in fact, what we're going to do is we're ultimately going to, as they're proposing now, sort of a group of elders are wanting to come together, an invisible college, so to speak, like Francis Bacon used to write of, that would represent a group of wise elders that would direct this technology and teach all us sheeple how ultimately we can become just and righteous beings just like them.
Right, right.